Approval of the Human Resources Report.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Dr. Johnson, members of the board, Mr. Thurman. Division of Human Resources report for January 2014 provides you with the number of new contracted employees, the number of new non-contracted employees, the number of resignations and terminations. In addition to that, I have provided for you a monthly update relative to our vacancy report, along with resignations and a comparison to other districts. Please note that we are strategically and aggressively continuing to hire personnel. Currently, we have, I believe, 22 early childhood or elementary vacancies. Please note that the district held a student teacher job fair on December 17th, 2013. And from there, we had about 65 participants. It is anticipated within the next 5 to 7 days, as documents are received, that a large number, close to all of the elementary vacancies, will be removed. In addition to the Spanish vacancies that you see there, we are in contact with the Latin American Association that is up off of Beaufort Highway, and we are providing some type of collaboration to see if we can assist with getting permits and assist those individuals with becoming educators to meet the needs of the district. As I stated, in addition to that, we are aggressively, once again, attacking all vacancies to ensure that there is a high-quality, highly qualified teacher in front of all students. This concludes the Division of Human Resources report for January 2014.
Thank you for your report. Is there any discussion? Mr. Orson?
Dr. Wordsmith, just a quick question, because I know we're all concerned about kind of this sort of stubbornly, relatively high vacancy rate compared to other systems. I mean, the only other system in the same situation is Gwinnett, and they're much larger to us. And I know there's no, every month is different, I get all that, but, and I appreciate that we're reaching out, for example, to the Latin American Association, but can you just give me sort of give us a glimpse of sort of your, maybe your 6-month plan, or maybe come back to us next month to try to avoid this situation, you know, going forward? Because
Yes,
I find that every year we're at the high end of the vacancy rate.
Yes, sir, and certainly thank you once again for that question. Certainly, my goal and my role in this district is to ensure that we have high-quality teachers in front of all students. However, as I stated from the beginning, retention is something that we all own. As a part of the strategic planning process, one of our initiatives is the retention of high-quality teachers, because as I pulled the number of educators who have left the district since November 1, 2013, because I as well stated look at the numbers each month. Please note that these numbers are not the same individuals. We're filling them, but then others come. I actually analyzed what were some of the reasons as to why teachers were leaving or did leave from November until this time. And what I received was essentially another position. There were 2, but the majority of them retirement. There were a few personal illnesses, as well as leaving the profession for teaching responsibilities or other entities. Please note, we aggressively continue to recruit, but until our salary structure, as well as other things, are in place, then it may be somewhat difficult for educators to see the benefit of remaining in DeKalb. As we work to improve our structure and to retain educators, certainly, you know, these numbers will come down. But for now, yes, you are correct. There are challenges with regard to retaining, and that is the reason for the vacancies, retention.
So my follow-up to that would be, because I think this comparison to other districts is helpful, just to give us an idea where we stand, that it would also be helpful to maybe get a better understanding of what the reasons for their vacancies are, right? So all we know right now, we're looking at a number-to-number comparison, but we don't know if we have an apples-to-apples comparison.
Yes, sir, Mr. Orson, and I did contact the state in order to obtain that information, because a reason code in DeKalb may not be the same reason code in Gwinnett. For instance, our reason codes for DeKalb, we have currently about 25 different codes as to why a person can select. Other districts may only have 5. Some districts may have 7. So the difficulty in terms of crosswalking that information is somewhat, you know, it's not apples to apples.
Would there be some sense, again, I know this is not a single-day project, of getting together with your colleagues in the other districts to develop a database of information that was consistent across systems. I think this is, and we've had this discussion in other contexts like with substitutes, because I think, we're all in the same market. And so to the extent nobody's at fault for having different reason codes, but maybe it would be helpful if we all agreed on having reason codes, because it would be helpful, for example, if we're looking at candidates from other districts, that if there's some consistency in the information database, it may be useful to every system at some point. And so I would encourage you to perhaps get together with your colleagues in these other districts and find if we can create some common understanding around this data.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Marley?
Ms. Orson, most certainly that's taken very well, but I think that we have to be careful. We have to begin to look at what is going on in DeKalb. We have to begin to look at the other districts. There are so many differences. As you said, there may be 5 items in one county as to why the people are leaving, and we have 25. So we have to begin to look at what are we doing and what are we not doing. And when we look at retention, but retention is an issue anytime you're dealing with people. Anywhere in any organization that's dealing with people, you're going to have retention issues. You're going to have retention things that are going on. When you look at retirement, retirement is an ongoing situation. That's not something that you can control. And so I think that we have to be careful that we're not belaboring and utilizing our staff and our administration to continuously looking at what's going on elsewhere, but looking at what's going on at home. What are we doing? What are we not doing? What can we do better in order to improve what's taking place here and be well recognized, Ms. Orson, that as an educator, most educators do know what's going on in other systems. So when there are vacancies in one, they're going to know that there's a vacancy in another. And that's because of the fact that they're looking at going other places. But we have to also begin to look at what are we paying people to be on the front line of working with our children? What are we paying people to say that they're appreciated? What are we paying people to say that all your education is really counting? So I think at some point, again, as I said before, it's a mindset. And until our nation, until our localities change their mindsets about education, you're going to have vacancies. There are going to be people who are just going to leave, and some are going to look at opportunities elsewhere, or they're leaving education altogether. So I think that we would be best served if we spend our time looking at what's happening in DeKalb, what are people saying, why are we not doing, or what can we do, and we might really be doing it, but can we control when people want to leave? And so I would like to not see us just take and waste a lot of time looking at everybody else, because when you're looking at a smaller system compared to DeKalb, who has gotten a lot from the Atlanta city when the projects was closed down, and we look at the different languages, that doesn't compare to most districts around. So I think that we would be better served just sometimes just looking at what's going on in our own house and stop trying to fix and look at what's going on in everybody else's house.
No further questions. Is there any opposition to placing this item on the consent agenda? Hearing none, this item will be placed on the consent agenda.